But now we're going to go to a top energy expert, former Undersecretary of Energy for Science in the Trump administration, Paul Dabbar. He's going to tell us what Biden should do, or will do, or might not do, or God knows what. Paul, welcome back to the show. Appreciate it.
Great to be here, as always.
So Biden says he's going to take all these actions. He said that on Tuesday.
Yeah.
What's he talking about?
So they've been running around, it appears, to some of the other countries in the world that produce natural gas, and have been saying, well, if the Russians stop shipping natural gas to Europe, which they're even more kind of addicted to than ever before because they've reduced their own domestic production in Europe. So they've been asking the Qataris, for example, to stand up rather than going to the U.S. natural gas companies to say,
really?
maybe the U.S. domestic industry should stand up.
We're the greatest, most efficient, low-cost producer.
Yeah.
Really? I mean, we are.
The natural gas production costs in the U.S. are the lowest in the world. And because of all the approvals that occurred 2017, 18, 19, just this last month, all those construction projects that were approved when you and I were there now have come online. And as a result of those approvals, those infrastructure approvals, we just last month hit the #1 exporter. But they've been talking about slowing that down, or even talking about reassessing what had been approved.
They being Biden.
Yeah.
Is it FERC who does that?
It's the FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, gives, and DOE, but it appears that
slowing it down,
right now, maybe even reassessing ones that have been previously.
Well, that's
approved.
The dumbest thing imaginable.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I mean, given the fact that, just think about this logic, the way we thought through this. So the president says there's going to be a war in 2 days, 1 day, 3 days. I don't know what he knows, but he says that. And so now his agencies are saying, let's hold back on LNG production and exports?
Yeah, they're clearly slow walking, and they're talking about reassessing already approved projects.
And I'm told via the grapevine, I can't confirm this, but there's some American officials, again, in Saudi Arabia, asking or begging them to produce more as we go towards $100 a barrel, and the Saudis say no.
Yeah.
So, no.
Yeah. So when you talk about Saudi Arabia, that's about crude, right? And as we've talked about before, a few years ago, 2019, we were producing 2 million barrels a day more than we are right now.
13 million versus 11 million.
And we used to be the swing producer.
Yep.
And when we put sanctions on Iran and Venezuela, when we had problems with them, we were able to work with your office, with the Department of Energy, National Security Council, evaluate the exact impact and how the U.S. production would come online to fill the gap when we put sanctions on them. That was because we were the swing producer, and that if we were able to sanction them, we knew that American production would fill the gap.
So that is exactly what we should do now. No?
Yeah.
I know. I remember that fire drill very well.
Yeah.
But this is the moment to do that. Yeah. But what is he going to... Will he... I know there's a jihad against our oil companies, right? We know that. Will he let go of that? Will he stop that? Will he say open the spigots? Or are we going to have other mischievous, strategic petroleum reserves or oil price controls, or what else do these guys do? Lefties want antitrust actions because there's price collusion, blah, 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 blah. Which is it going to be?
Yeah. It would make, obviously, a lot of sense for us to be able to fill the gap, both for the world markets, our own prices. Energy inflation is the worst type of inflation because it flows to the economy, right? Logistics, shipping, right? Energy inflation is a trigger for all sorts of other inflation. So this war could actually trigger another round of inflationary kind of impact to the world, but also here in the U.S. Unless we, I think, if we encourage the oil and gas industry to fill the gap.
Why is it so hard? It's an ideological issue, I suppose. But when the president says that, as I quoted him in my opening riff, we're going to take actions. What do you are they going to go to strategic petroleum reserves?
Well, one of the challenges...
For the last 12 minutes?
So one of the challenges is if there isn't a bunch of capacity ready to go, it's hard to move it fast.
Yeah.
So the actions that have been taken to hold back the oil and gas industry from having the spare capacity over the last year, it's hard for the oil and gas industry to turn on a dime. The only two places in the world right now that are the swing producers that have that capacity primarily is Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates.
Oh, true.
So because of the lack of public policy and investment in the last year, in the near term, going to Saudi Arabia
and the regulatory blocking.
Yeah.
So look, they made their bed. Now they have to sleep in it.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, is oil going to go? So say there's war and the status quo continues. What, $100 a barrel, $125 a barrel? What do you think?
Yeah, it could easily get above $100 a barrel. And one of the things that could really happen is that even if we don't put any sanctions on Russian oil and gas, the Russians themselves may try to take it out in the rest of the world by stopping full delivery of their 5 million barrels a day of crude or 11 BCF a day of gas that they deliver to Europe. If they start cutting that back because of war, if they claim that, the prices that we'll see...
They'll pop the prices enormously right away.
Yeah, I mean, their ability to just tweak a little bit of that, even if we don't put sanctions on, which would be better, right, like we did with Iran and Venezuela. But because Europe and us are in a much weaker position, they actually have the power right now to...
Russia does.
Russia does.
Russia does. What a terrible position we are in. This country, that is to say. And it's so avoidable, if not for this ideological jihad against fossil fuels. Anyway, Paul Dabbar, top Energy Department scientist. How long were you there?
I was there for the 4 years of the administration.
4 years, so you know something about the story. Thank you for coming on.
Good to see you again, Larry.
Appreciate it very much.